Over to you, Lisa.
Thanks so much, Melissa. That was so sweet. I'm going to start my slides. Let's get those going because the day is here. This is my book launch, and I'm so grateful for all of you for taking time out of your day to join me. My book came out on September 29th, and normally this would be an in-person talk where I get to meet you and sign your book, but this is the world we're in. So we're here online, and we get to come together as a bigger group, and we're all comfy and cozy in our house. I have my cup of tea. I got my slippers on. There's a pretty decent chance I'm wearing yoga pants because that's what you get to do when you're at home. And there's also a very good chance that one of three cats or all three cats will wander through at some point. So, wildlife being a part of this, it's all a little different, but it's what it is. And I'm so grateful for all of you for coming today. And what we're going to do today is go through some of the principles from my book. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Undieting is. We're going to get into some really good usable principles. And then at the end, I'm going to show you where you can get access to all of this information for free following this presentation. All you have to do is grab my book and you get access to it. So we'll go through all of that. But today we're going to be looking at why dieting fails. Like, as a nutritionist, it would be a lot easier if what I did was just hand you diets. And honestly, with some of my instructors, that's what I was taught. I have not embraced it because it doesn't work. And I know that without a shadow of a doubt. And we're going to look at the research of why diets fail, and that it's not you, it's them. They inherently, there's no way they work. We're going to look at why wintertime is actually a really, really good time for balance. We're going to look at the difference between empowered eating and deprived eating, and how each one feels, so you can start feeling out how that works in your life. We're going to look at how to say yes to food. And why that's important. And then I'm going to go through some steps. I have 4 steps to share with you on how to eat exactly what you want and still feel good. And that's Undieting. For those of you who are new to me, there's a lot of names that I've seen before and a whole bunch of names that are brand new. So I'd just like to introduce myself a little bit more. Thank you, Melissa, for such a great job. My name is Lisa Kilgour. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I've been in practice in the Okanagan Valley for 12 years. My 12th anniversary was last month. And in the old world, I do one-on-one consults in person. And since last March, I've been 100% online, which is great because it's very similar to being in person. And I work with people diving into their habits and their likes and their dislikes to help figure out what it is that their body is looking for. I also have a all-access nutrition hub called Your Beautiful Life, and there's some members here in the audience right now. And that's been going since June 2019. And that's a group coaching program that brings the Undieting principles into many different topics. Every month I bring out a new masterclass, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a really, really great community. And I'm also a touring speaker. As I mentioned, in the old world, we would be in person, and I'd be standing in front of a big screen and hobbling around on high heels instead of wearing my nice comfy slippers instead. And that's what I've been doing for most of these last 12 years. And then in 2015, I recorded a TEDx talk at TEDx Kelowna on the gut-brain connection. And it was this talk that took off in the summer of 2019. Suddenly people started watching it, and my publisher found me through my TED talk, and that turned into my brand new book, Undieting. And this was released in September of last year. But a really important thing I need you to know about me is that while I'm a holistic nutritionist, and yes, I eat the way you'd expect a holistic nutritionist to eat, I didn't start there. My diet used to be, in my 20s, entirely sugar. Fruit Loops and Skippy peanut butter were staples. I didn't feel well, but I had no idea that it was my diet that was causing these problems. And I slowly, over the course of about 6 years, I changed from that ultra processed diet to the one that I have now. but I didn't have to wait until my diet was perfect before I started feeling better. I started feeling better with the very first change. And so I want to tell you that first, to let you know, like, no matter where you're starting, I probably started at a worse diet, and I totally understand it. Plus, I want to encourage you, no matter how hard of a change it feels, like it might be, how big of a mountain that it feels like you might have to climb, that you don't have to climb the whole mountain to feel better, that each little step that you take will make a difference. And I've been there. I've seen that work myself. So I've been a holistic nutritionist since 2007, in practice here in the Okanagan since 2009. I've worked with thousands of people at this point, specializing in digestive issues, the microbiome, adrenal fatigue and burnout, blood sugar imbalances, and undieting is the core of everything that I do. And my new book, Undieting, Freedom of out last year. And as Melissa said, I am Nature's Fair's nutritionist. I'm one of Nature's Fair's nutritionists, and I've been doing this since 2013. And I'll tell you at the end how you can book your own free half-hour consult, all courtesy of Nature's Fair. They're so generous. And I just want to mention why I am anti-diet. I'm anti-diet because when we try to force our body into something it doesn't want to do, this is what dieting is. The only end result is that you will fall off it. But it's been wired into us that it's our fault it didn't work. We're sold into this concept like it's the perfect thing and it's going to work for everybody, and that this is the ultimate way. But it isn't, because the experts keep changing their mind, and that our body already knows exactly what it needs to do to feel better. And that if instead of trying to force it and shove it into something new, we tap in and start listening, then we can create real changes. And so that's what undieting is. Undieting is real life healthy eating. It is learning what your body wants and your lifestyle wants to create a balance that works for you. I've worked with thousands of people with this. I do it myself. I practice this every day, and it really, really works. Before we dive into the content, I also want to just mention this quote. And those of you who've seen other presentations of mine, you've seen this quote a bunch of times, because I start most presentations with it because it's so true. It's by Dr. Mark Hyman, a wonderful functional medicine doctor out of the US. And it's most people don't realize how close they are to health and happiness. And for me, when I was at my worst, it was one little thing I did, and my brain turned back on and my energy came back up and I felt so much better. And there is a small tweak that your body needs to feel better than you feel right now. And that tomorrow might be the day we find that tweak. That's all we need. We're frequently very, very close. And I don't know what that tweak will be for you, but there is one, and we just have to keep looking. There are 4 things that I want you to remember when we get into the good stuff, when I get into the undieting in real life, because these are very, very important principles that I want you to take into your life, because the truth of them is really, really strong. And the first one is 95% of diets will fail. I would actually argue it's higher than that, but this is what research says. Research says there is a 95% chance of whatever diet you try, you will fail. And their definition of failure is that whatever weight you lose, you put back on. And the research also has found that the best predictor of who's going to land in that 95% is people who have dieted before. So what that means is that we don't get better at dieting as we go. Our body rejects it louder every time. So it's not in your mind. It's not in your head that dieting has gotten harder over the decades. It is your body saying, please, can you stop? I can't do this anymore. And that we need to find a new way. And that dieting, while it can create weight loss, when it comes back, that bounce is actually harder on your body than just staying where you are right now. And so a slower change, a lifestyle change, is what's really important. The second one is that your body will always win. So, you know, when you're really, really tired and your cravings get really loud, that is your body winning. Your body will always get what it wants. If you're trying to force your body into something that it doesn't work for, it will get what it wants. And that might mean a bag full of cookies, or it might mean a pint of ice cream. Your body will always get what it's looking for, whether or not it's coming in the way that you would like it. And so always keep that in mind. Your body always wins. But in addition to that is that your body is your best friend. Your body is winning to make you feel better, that bag of cookies has a purpose, that there's a reason that your body wants it. And what we need to do is understand the language of that craving so we can figure out what the balance is, because your body, while winning, is trying its darndest to keep you healthy and happy and vibrant and full of life. It's just doesn't always ask for what it's looking for with the right language. And we're going to get into that a bit more. So I'm not going to clarify, because that wasn't very clear, but I'm going to clarify later. And the fourth one is that fall and winter can feel like a really hard time to eat well, but is actually the best time to find balance. What we consider a healthy diet right now is a very spring and summer style of diet. It's like a salad with lean protein on top. That is beautiful in August, but is really hard on the body in January. And the weather and the temperature and the seasons really, really matter. And so fall and winter is when our cravings get really, really loud, especially when we're trying to eat a diet that's out of season. And so if you can nail it at this time of the year, you've got it at all times of the year, because spring and summer, it's so much easier. So finding balance now inside these dark months, these hard months of this really hard year, if we can tap in and understand what your body is looking for, the knowledge that you can take then to the easier months is huge. And so just in these hard months, just keep that in mind. This is actually a really, really good time, and your body is being really loud. So it's a great time to learn the interpretation. So let's get into the good stuff. So I've got 4 methods to undiet in your real life, and each one works. So you don't need to do these in order. You can choose the one that feels best to you. And that's kind of something always in my life. Whenever I give any kind of recommendation to anybody, like, choose what feels best for you, go with that, and then try the next one. And you don't have to do anything in order. The perfect order is your order. So just keep that in mind. So first one is, I want you to take no off the table. I don't want you to say no to any more food. This may seem counterproductive. And you might be saying to me, but Lisa, if I can eat as many cookies as I want, I'm really only going to eat cookies. And that's dieting culture that's told you that. What research has found is that the way to binge, what happens when we binge on a food is because we've been deprived from it. Deprivation equals binging. If you say, I can't eat cookies, eventually you're going to binge on cookies. My very favorite food in the entire world is the one that's on the screen right now. Chocolate lava cakes, a hot, warm, delicious chocolate lava cake is like heavenly food to me. And I put this up because, like, it's so tempting to me right here. And so I can speak to saying yes to this food really easily. And the idea of saying yes means this: I can eat chocolate lava cake anytime I want. Inside this paradigm of undieting, if I wanted chocolate lava cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I could have it. And because of that, I don't. And when I do, I don't overindulge because if I want more, I can have it tomorrow. I also have a dairy sensitivity. And so I generally don't eat dairy, but like the chocolate lava cake, it's always on the table. If I really want it, I'm going to eat it. But there's this one moment in my life, this like 1 month period where it's best if I don't have it. I'm a musician as well, and I play the flute, and I sometimes play with the Okanagan Symphony. And when I have a concert coming up, I usually get the music about 4 to 6 weeks before a concert, and I practice like a fiend. And dairy triggers asthma. So when I'm practicing like a fiend, playing flute and piccolo, it's really best if I don't have dairy, because then I don't get to progress. I can't play very well. So in that month, that 4-week period, I'm saying no to dairy. And do you know what I want more than anything in the world? I want cheese. I want grilled cheese. I want anything. And what developed in my last year in playing with the symphony is that every Sunday night of the concert series, so we'd have a concert on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the Sunday night concert was in Vernon. And every time I drove into Vernon, I would leave about 10 or 15 minutes early so I could stop at a store and get a bag of cheese popcorn, and I'd eat that on my way home. Cheese popcorn that I haven't eaten in 2 years since my last concert. But it was triggered by the fact that I couldn't have it. So while it seems counterproductive, it might feel like out of control to just say yes to every food. But when you start doing that, you start being able to make a conscious choice. If I can eat cookies or donuts or chocolate lava cake anytime at a time, or in this moment, I could eat a piece of fruit, I can actually spend time and feel it out and say, what would feel best in my body right now? And most of the time, I'm going to go for a piece of fruit because I feel better when I have a piece of fruit. And that chocolate lava cake is going to come out and be enjoyed sometimes. But because I am also consciously making this decision, I'm noticing that when I have that chocolate lava cake, I don't have a lot of energy afterwards, and that I kind of feel overfull and it's a lot of sugar, and I can stay aware. But when we are in that deprivation stage, when we're feeling like, no, I can't have it, then when we finally do eat it, we usually overconsume and we feel so guilty we don't notice that. So saying yes allows for conscious choices and allows for ease. It gives us the ability to make the decision that's right for our body. And so instead of saying no to a bunch of things, I want you to use the power of yes and the power of adding. What the power of adding does is, instead of saying, I'm not going to eat any more cookies, I'm going to cut sugar out of my diet, all you do is focus on, can I eat more fruits and vegetables? Is there a place I can squish another serving of fruits or vegetables into my diet? And first of all, isn't that gorgeous? So your body lights up and your body feels good during this. And in no way are you saying no to anything. One of my ways of saying yes is, in the afternoon, I usually like a sweet snack, and I've learned that a piece of fruit feels best. And so when I walk into the kitchen, I may want chocolate or I may want a cookie, but I'll grab a piece of fruit because I know I'll feel best with that. I'm not saying no to the cookie. I'm not saying no to the chocolate. I can have that next if I still want it, but I'm going to choose what feels best for my body. And that is the power of adding. Second one is, when you're looking to create a new habit, doing it without willpower, without that drive, without saying, okay, I'm going to do this, instead of just saying, I'm going to try this. Like, not using willpower is the best way to create a new change. Because when you are using willpower, when you are trying something that's so far out of your comfort zone that you're working at it, there is going to come a day where you're tired or you're grumpy or just life is getting in the way, and that willpower muscle is getting tired, because willpower is a muscle that gets tired. I could keep my arm over my head for the next hour, and eventually my arm would get so tired that muscle would quit and my arm would fall. Willpower is no different, but we see that as our own weakness. but it's just a muscle. So when you're making a change, if you walk in knowing, okay, I only have a finite amount of willpower, how can I make sure I use this willpower as best as possible? And the way to do that, and the way to create happy change, is with one simple step. Is I want you to shrink that change as small as possible. So it uses the teeniest little bit of willpower you could possibly use. And the golden number is 95%. I want you to feel 95% confident you can rock whatever change you're going to do. And when that change feels easy, try the next one. Say your goal is to make dinner at home 7 days a week, and right now you're making dinner maybe once. First change is do it maybe twice, or instead of stopping the maybe, get really rocking once a week. I'm making dinner. And the most important part of this 95% is that you take you into account when you're looking at this change. A lot of times when we're trying to power over or use our willpower to create change, we try to bend ourselves into the new thing we want to do. But instead, I want you to bend that thing into something that fits for you. An example of that is, say you feel really good when you eat breakfast, but you struggle to actually find time. A way to use willpower and like bending yourself to fit would be something like a decision like, I'm going to wake up a half an hour early every day and make myself breakfast. And that's going to be great for a while, but eventually you're going to have a hectic morning or a late night, or you're just too tired and you hit snooze too many times. A non-willpower version of the same thing is realizing, you know what, I'm not always going to get up a half an hour early because I usually only do that for a little while. That's why breakfast is never stuck. What can I do inside my own life? And that might be making some breakfast cookies that you can just grab one on your way out the door. It could be leaving ingredients at work so you can have breakfast there. It might be finding a spot that you can pick up a healthy breakfast. Like if there's a Nature's Fair on your way, they've got some great breakfasts. Or the realization that maybe you don't like breakfast, and that's a-okay. So maybe it's grab a piece of fruit and have that mid-afternoon. When you take you into account, you start respecting your life and your body and your schedule, and you create habits that actually work for you. And then they easily become non-negotiable. If I were to say, I'm going to start exercising first thing in the morning, it's going to last for like a week. Instead, I exercise in moments that I know I'm going to think about it. I do it just before lunch. I do it in late afternoon. And that's what works for me. So when you're looking at change, I want you to take you into account and create a change that works inside your life, instead of attempting to change your life and change who you are to make that change work. The next step is my favorite one. It's tuning into your body and understanding your body's language. This is my absolute favorite one because it really it's like a 1-2 punch to the dieting culture. Dieting culture wants us to feel really, really guilty when we indulge in things. It makes us want to feel really, really guilty when we have a craving. But instead, if instead of feeling guilty, we feel curious, if we start thinking like, oh, I wonder why my body wants this, we can learn so much about our body. In my email, I have an email newsletter, and it went out earlier today. And I told a story of an old client of mine who had this deep craving for pink icing. And she's like, every 4 to 6 weeks, I have like a 3-day binge of pink icing, and I don't know why. And when we dove in, we started to learn what it is her body was looking for when she ate, when it was asking for that pink icing. And by tweaking her diet, by bringing in healthy versions of the types of food her body was looking for, that cut that craving down immensely. But when we're wrapped in this guilt, we miss the information. So exchanging guilt for curiosity is a big deal. And then let's take a look at your cravings. I'm going to take you through the top 3 cravings that I see. But if you want more on cravings, I have an entire chapter dedicated to cravings. It's chapter 8 in the book. And I go through every craving that I commonly see and what it is and how to find balance. But let's start with chocolate. I don't know about you, but this is my favorite craving. Like, I love chocolate, as you saw with my chocolate lava cake. I eat chocolate every day. Honestly, there's not a day that goes by that I don't have chocolate. And dark chocolate in particular is a craving for dark chocolate because dark chocolate is particularly high in magnesium. Low magnesium is one of the most common mineral deficiencies. At least 50% of us have a magnesium deficiency. And other symptoms of low magnesium is tight muscles, like knots in your shoulders, twitching muscles, low energy, coughing, a lot of like phlegm and mucus, or you've eaten a lot of processed food, refined food that uses magnesium for absorption, or you have a really high stress life. And so magnesium is a high craving, and dark chocolate is one of the best ways to get magnesium in your diet. It's a very high magnesium food. You may also need a magnesium supplement, just an FYI. It also is sweet. So if your blood sugar is kind of low, your body just might be trying to get your blood sugar up. And if you're under a lot of stress, chocolate is feel good. It gives you those oxytocin feel good hormones. So it also could just be a respite from the high stress. But more times than not, a chocolate craving is your body wants some magnesium. Salt cravings. Salt cravings are really common in healthy eaters. So mainstream health advice is eat a low sodium diet. That is true for people who eat a lot of processed food and junk food. If you, for those who are going to a fast food restaurant 5 to 6 times a week, yeah, that's a lot of sodium. But I work with generally healthy eaters. Most of you are Nature's Fair shoppers. I say most of you is because like my family's here from Ontario, my in-laws are here from Regina. So not all of you are Nature's Fair shoppers. But I've met with thousands of Nature's Fair shoppers over the last 12 years. And you guys tend to have a very healthy diet. And you abide by the government recommendations of a low salt diet, but your diet doesn't have enough salt in it. Sodium and potassium are key minerals for both your nerve functions, but also for all of your cells to work. And so people who eat a fairly healthy diet and desperately crave salt, this means you need to eat it. Get a good quality sea salt or a Himalayan salt and salt your food to your taste. If you eat fruits and vegetables normally, if you cook at home a lot, you can abide by your taste buds. Your taste buds won't let you down. Having a high stress life or high anxiety also usually drives salt cravings. Your body needs that help. Your adrenals need the help from the sea salt. And you also will tend to have low blood pressure. I think I've met one salt craver who has high blood pressure. And that is a moment where probably eating more salt is not good for you. But low blood pressure people, even your doctor will tell you to eat more salt. And so if you have that combo of I'm a big salt craver and I tend to have really low blood pressure, this means you probably need salt, and you may need enormous amounts. Always abide by your doctor, though. If your doctor has told you otherwise, have a conversation with them and see if this is a recommendation that is best for you. But always abide by your doctor. Evening cravings, really common one. Evening cravings is where your body hijacks things to get what it wants. Remember, like at the beginning of the presentation, I said that your body always wins. This is when it wins. It wins in the evening. I hear a lot from people who say, I eat a great diet, except for this 2-hour window every night when all heck breaks loose. And it's like, then your diet's not working for you. Evening cravings can be emotional, but they're almost always physical cravings. And this is when your body hijacks your willpower in this low energy moment to say, you have not fed me enough, or you have not given me any carbs yet today, or I need some pleasure or something good. You've just been feeding me rabbit food all day, and I'm exhausted and I'm hungry. And so it's in these moments when you've had stress all day and maybe your appetite wasn't very strong all day, or you've been trying to follow a certain diet plan. And then the evening is quiet and you're just sitting on the couch and you take a deep breath, your cortisol comes down, your body relaxes, and now it gets loud and it says, hey, you know those cookies that you hid in the freezer? Why don't you go get some? Or wouldn't popcorn be really nice right now? Or how about some potato chips? When your diet's balanced, you don't get hungry in the evenings. Or if you do get hungry in the evenings, then that can be where the emotional cravings come in. But the very first step is to balance out the physical cravings. And 90% of these cravings are physical. And so when you get these evening cravings, notice, what did you eat today? Did you eat enough? Are you following a low carb diet or a low protein diet or low fat diet? And are your cravings that whatever macronutrient you're not feeding yourself? What's going on here? Because your body actually doesn't want to eat at night. It likes to be resting. It likes to have an empty stomach before you go to sleep. And so it's kind of doing this out of desperation. And so let's bring in curiosity here instead of guilt. Like, really look at your body and say, okay, what are you looking for? What do you want? And if you crave in the evenings, do you crave every evening? So look at the ones that you don't. What's different than the ones that you do? And by just doing a bit of detective work, you can find what it is that's causing these evening cravings. And then life is so much more simple after that. The last one I want to take you through is the power of pleasurable eating. When we enjoy our food, our body finds a lot of balance. But if you've done a lot of dieting, enjoying your food can be really hard, really, really hard. And so the very first step is eating slowly and spending time with each bite and noticing how good it is. If you struggle with portion control, if you wonder if you're eating enough, simply by sitting down and eating slowly and chewing your food really well, you will start to notice when you're actually full. And you might notice, I've had a lot of clients say about halfway through my meal, I'm full, or I ate half as much as I usually eat, and I was totally satisfied. The other side of this is whole food tastes really good when you eat it slowly and with intention, but fast food doesn't. Fast food is meant to be eaten fast. It has these flat flavor punches that weaken with every chew, whereas whole foods have a mild flavor that it intensifies with every chew. And so even by just choosing one meal a week or one meal a day to eat slowly and with enjoyment, you can start bringing pleasure into your life. If you want to take it up a notch, you can try conscious eating. Conscious eating is also really good if you're trying to break a food habit that's simply not working for you. If you work in an office and there's always cookies around, or in the evening, you have this habit that you want potato chips, but you don't necessarily want, like, you're not hungry. Conscious eating can help guide you back into what your body is looking for, but without having to say no, by being able to say yes when you want it. To do conscious eating, you simply ask yourself two questions. The first question is, do I really want to eat this? It's a simple yes or no question. If it's yes, then you move on to the next question. And that is, do I want to change what I'm doing so I can sit down and enjoy this? So when I did this back when I used to work in an office, there'd be cookies everywhere. There's always junk food. And I would say, okay, I would really want to eat that cookie, but do I want to stop what I'm doing so I can eat that cookie? And sometimes the answer was yes. And sometimes the answer was no. And when you say no to both of these questions, the power that food had over you is gone because you've made a choice. You didn't say, I can't eat it. You've chosen, I want to do this instead. And so that cookie no longer is powerful. The moment we say, I can't, it sits on our shoulder forever. So it really shifts our relationship with that food. And if you say yes to both, go and enjoy it. The very first person I did this with was a client about 12 years ago. She was one of my first, probably in my first year of practicing. And she struggled with potato chips. And every night while she was watching TV with her husband, she would eat an entire bag of potato chips. And she's like, I've tried and I get off it sometimes, but it always comes back. I do really enjoy it. And it's such a habit. And I said, okay, keep eating your potato chips, but change your environment. So when you want the potato chips, all you have to do is move to the living room. That's it, or the dining room. You just can't watch TV while eating potato chips. And she found that every day she would ask herself and she'd answer yes to both. She'd go to the dining room. She'd eat about 5 or 6, maybe 7 potato chips, be totally satisfied. My cat's behind I have a cat sleeping behind my computer, and she's knocking my light over. That's what it's like being at home. So she would go into the dining room and she'd eat 6 or 7 potato chips, and then she would be satisfied and go back to the TV show. In the course of 2 weeks, instead of eating 14 bags of potato chips, she'd barely finished one, and she was satisfied. She never felt like she was missing anything. So there's power to conscious eating. This is the hardest thing I give anyone, but man, does it work. If you want to quickly change the relationship you have with food, try this for 2 weeks. Try this for a week even. And just every time you're going to eat something, you are just eating it consciously. So you're making that decision every time. It really, really works. And it works especially good when it comes to chocolate lava cakes and cookies. Like if that's where you start, that's a really great place to start. And so the 2 little points I want to leave you with before we get into the questions is I want you to remind you that change is always possible when you know you can do this. And the small changes are the most effective changes. And the most powerful thing that you can do to change your relationship with food, to change your relationship with your body, is to be curious. Be curious about what the symptoms are, how you're feeling, what you want to eat, how does it feel when you eat that. By bringing in curiosity, it is the antidote to dieting culture. And it is the fastest path to understanding what your body is looking for. So if what we talked about has been resonating with you, if this feels good to you, first thing is grab your copy of my book. It's available at all Nature's Fair locations. They all have copies in store, and there's a cute little display. It's quite lovely. The stores are amazing. Once you have your copy of the book, then go to undieting.ca and put in your receipt number at the bottom of that page, and you will automatically get sent my digital course called Undieting in Real Life, where I have all of these steps all written out so you can go through them at your leisure. I also have free 30-minute consults available through Nature's Fair. So Nature's Fair is amazing and gives these consults to their customer. And right now they're all online. So if you go to Nature's Fair's website, you can book to talk to either me or one of the other 3 amazing nutritionists. There's Kelly and Jen and Angela. They're all amazing. And so you can book with me or book with them and get some help. We can help guide you through and find the easiest path into what you're looking for. I also mentioned earlier my all access nutrition hub called Your Beautiful Life. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but just know that this exists. It's a monthly membership program that has master classes added every month. Last month was my controversial view on intermittent fasting. This month is about pelvic floor health and bringing pleasure back into our life. Coming up, we're right now creating the schedule coming up. So all of the members are voting on the next probably 5 to 6 months of master classes. So I don't know exactly what they're going to be yet, but they're going to be great. There's about 200 recipes, and there's a private Facebook group, and I do bi-weekly Q&A calls. So all of your questions get answered. You're also top priority in my life. So anytime you send me an email, you're the first people I answer to. It's $35 a month. You can come and go as you please. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can find out that on my website, lisakilgour.com. And this is just kind of going through everything. The last one is if you want more in-depth conversations. private sessions through my website. They start at an hour and a half, and I do a full history, and we create a plan together. And then follow-up appointments are an hour long. So also know that that's possible, but keep in mind, you can start with a free half-hour consult, and that's Nature's Fair's gift to you. So we're going to open up the floor for questions. I think Melissa's going to pop back on. And I really appreciate if anybody has to go before we finish the questions, I just want to give you a giant thank you for coming and for sticking with me right to the end. And I hope that you got at least a tidbit of information that can help you move forward.
Oh, Lisa, that is amazing. I can't speak enough good things about you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Seriously, I'm in. Whatever you're doing, I'm sold. I'll follow you wherever you go. I am in. I am pumped. I'm ready to take on anything.
Lovely.
Okay, we've got a few questions.
Okay.
We're going to start off in the magnesium department.
Lovely. Good one. That's a good spot.
So Karen has asked when she should take her magnesium.
That's a great question. So magnesium through the day gives you energy, and at night it helps you sleep. And so if you have a lot of low magnesium symptoms, say you have really tight muscles, restless legs, twitchy muscles, low energy, like you're like, I need some magnesium, I would recommend taking it both with breakfast and with dinner. I use a powdered magnesium because I'm tired of taking pills, but there's a lot of great capsules of magnesium too. They're all at Nature's Fair. Nature's Fair has a huge magnesium section. I usually recommend somewhere between 200 and 400 milligrams once or twice a day, and just stay away from magnesium oxide. That is a form that is only a laxative. It's just going to go straight through you. It's cheap, but you don't get anything from it. If you want highly absorbable, look for bisglycinate, glycinate, or citrate. If you want just the cheapest and easiest, Natural Factors has a magnesium citrate that will be a bit of a laxative for sensitive people, but really inexpensive. Or there's some really great bisglycinates, and those are never a laxative, so they're not going to cause any bowel issues. Always take them with food. Okay, that's it.
Perfect. You answered Janet's question too about how much magnesium she should take. And next up is, can magnesium be taken with cholesterol medicine?
Really great question. Technically, as a nutritionist, I can't answer it. Unfortunately, I can't give any advice on combining drugs with minerals. I don't know of any counterindications, but your pharmacist or a naturopath would be the best place to ask, just to be 100% sure.
Perfect. Next up, Wendy wants to know so right now, Wendy, Lisa, all of her consultations are online. She has asked if you do any other appointments in other stores. So right now, for the time being, everything is online. But once things open up again, you are just in Kelowna. Is that correct?
Kelowna and Vernon are my two stores.
Kelowna and Vernon.
So but right now, right now you can see everybody, like because we're all online. You can choose whichever nutritionist you want to see. But then once we go back in stores, we all have our own stores that we go in. That's why there's so many of us. Sorry to interrupt, Melissa.
No, that's perfect. That is perfect. Next up is Wendy is wondering where she can buy your book if she doesn't have a Nature's Fair.
Great question. So it's available if you happen to be in the US, it's in stores at Target. In Canada, some chapters are carrying it. A lot of local bookstores, you can order it directly from them. If you go to undieting.ca, that spot where you can get my free digital course, I have a link to all the online spots that you can get it. I may be selling it directly myself. I have a handful of copies I can sell, so you can also just send me an email if you just rather buy it for me.
All right, on to vitamin D. How much vitamin D should we take daily?
Really good question. So the government guidelines are, I believe the current ones are 2,000 in the winter and 1,000 in the summer. That's what I've heard. The truth is that for some people, that's not going to be enough. And so what I usually recommend is start at 2,000, especially because it's the winter. Take it every day for about 3 months. And then that's the point where your blood is now saturated with that level of vitamin D. This is the moment to get a vitamin D test. And if sometimes you have to pay for it. That's why we're all deficient in Canada. So there's no point in getting the test at the beginning. Always start taking vitamin D and then get your test. If your level is okay after 3 months of taking 2,000 international units, then that is your dose. That is your dose to keep your level at that height. If you're still low, double it and get tested again in 3 months. For about 2 years, I worked at an integrative cancer care center. We did a lot of vitamin D testing, and the range was anywhere between 1,000 international units and 8,000 international units to get people's levels up. And the only way to know is through testing. But 2,000 is a safe amount that you can do all the time if you don't have access to testing. But if you have an autoimmune condition or any condition that might be linked to low vitamin D, it's a really good idea to get tested so you know where your level is.
Great. I think I need to do that as well. All right. Diane is wondering, she's having an issue with breakfast. So she keeps hearing that if she has a big bowl of hot cereal, it should be full until lunchtime. She does that with walnuts on top, but she's hungry within 90 minutes and she's quite active and wondering if that means that she needs more protein.
It can be. So we're all different. We all have different constitutions. And what you want to do is find a breakfast that keeps you full for about 4 hours. That's kind of like, that's the gold standard. And yours is not working. No matter how perfect it is, like it sounds great, but it's not working for you. And so what I want you to first try is a high protein breakfast and see if like that could be eggs and veggies. It could be a smoothie. Try that out, see how that feels. If that's not working, then combine them. You might be a protein carb, especially as a very active person. There's a very good possibility you need both the protein and the carb. Everybody is a little different. So I'm a very carb breakfast person. If I have a high protein breakfast, I'm hungry in an hour. If I have what you just described as your breakfast, it's going to keep me for 3 or 4 at least. And so it's just about experimentation. There's nothing inherently wrong about that breakfast. It's just not working for you as your constitution. You need to try something that's a bit more protein heavy. Keep experimenting until you find that perfect breakfast. You only need 1 or 2 and you're good to go.
Perfect. We've got quite a bit of questions coming in. This is awesome.
I love questions. It's my favorite.
Me too. Okay, the next one is, what other supplement other than magnesium citrate and probiotics do you suggest to improve a sluggish digestive system?
Great question. So yeah, good probiotic is important. What I would say before adding too many more supplements is look at your digestive habits. Are you a fast eater? Do you eat a lot of liquids with meals? Are you stressed out while you're eating? All 3 of those are going to slow your digestive system down, and there's no supplement that's going to fix it. So eat really slowly, chew really well, very little liquids with meals, be as relaxed as you can because you're either stressed or you're digesting. That can make a huge difference. If you still feel like your digestive system is sluggish, especially if you get like either a bit of acid reflux or just heaviness under your rib cage when you eat, then sometimes digestive bitters can help. But the biggest thing is watch your habits. Your habits are key.
Perfect. Next up is, will Himalayan or sea salt help with energy levels? This person craves salt a lot and is often tired.
Yeah. So a lot of low, like there's this trifecta that I see a lot. Anxiety, really low adrenals, big salt cravings. And when those are coming together, so you're exhausted, maybe a little anxious, low blood pressure, salt makes a huge difference. And so for you, if you're a big salt craver, I want you to put at least a pinch of salt in your water when you first wake up in the morning. I want you to salt your food all day long, just to your taste, make it taste good, and put salt in your water anytime it tastes good. Salt in your water when you need it tastes refreshing. When you don't need it, it tastes like salt water. It's disgusting. And so just abide by your taste buds. Your taste buds will guide you. Water follows salt, so you get to absorb it better and brings up your blood pressure, therefore brings up your energy. I'd also say bring in more fruit because that's high energy. Make sure you're eating at least every 3 to 4 hours so you're not using cortisol to keep your blood sugar up. But you also might just want to book in with me so we can talk about your adrenals. But the first thing, use salt.
Love it. All right, I
love giving people salt because like salt cravers are just like, really, I can have salt. I'm like, yeah.
I'm so excited right now. My foot is tapping like, yes, I get to eat lava cake and salt.
As long as you enjoy it.
Yes. Oh, I do. Next question is, any special considerations or tips for the 50-something plus menopausal diet?
Yeah.
With slow metabolism.
Yeah. So our metabolism changes around menopause, and that perimenopause to menopause change does change how our body works. And that sometimes we have to develop a new relationship with our body. What was working before isn't working now. If you're all the way through menopause, say your hormones are like your period is done and your hormones are lower and steady, that is a time that you could try out some intermittent fasting. But I say that with very, very with a grain of salt, because if your hormones are still in the fluctuating stage, intermittent fasting can throw everything off. Intermittent fasting and fertility are not friends at all, but can be helpful in that postmenopausal time to let your body rest, and to all of the benefits from intermittent fasting happen to men and menopausal women, and that's it. And so that's and that could be just like you give yourself a 14-hour window between dinner and breakfast, maybe trying 15-hour window. You could try what's called a 5-2 method, but do some research in that. In my nutrition hub, we get into that a bit more. But that's the tool that I've seen work the best. But the biggest thing is bring in some consciousness, bring in some that conscious eating. Make sure that the amount that you're eating, those portions are working for your body as it is in this moment, because it's different than it was 5 years ago or even 1 year ago. And that's going to also create some long-term health as well.
Thank you. All right, they're coming in. I have Wendy's wants to know, she has magnesium malate. Is that good or bad? Magnesium
malate is a newer one on the market. I don't know that one as well. I don't think it's a bad one, and I don't think it's I think it's a pretty okay one. It's usually in higher end magnesium supplements, but honestly, I don't use it very often, so I don't know that much about it. It's not a red flag one. It's only oxide and carbonate. Yeah, those are the ones to stay away from.
Okay. And do we need calcium and magnesium to absorb vitamin D?
Good question. So vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. And so you need a good gallbladder to absorb vitamin D. And vitamin D helps you absorb calcium. I have yet to see any research to say that calcium helps absorb vitamin D. But I keep hearing that come up. So maybe people are saying that, but I've always seen it go the other way around. When there's a vitamin D deficiency or an inabsorption of it, I look at the gallbladder, what's going on there. Calcium and magnesium are brothers, but we tend to have a lot of calcium and not enough magnesium. So this is one of the few minerals that I say don't worry about taking in calcium unless you have been told you need it by your doctor, and just bring that magnesium level back up, because our body is happier when they're more balanced than when they're out of whack. So calcium, magnesium, I tend to just do magnesium. And then I don't usually recommend you have to take calcium with vitamin D. It's usually the other way around, but there can be an absorption problem, and that's usually a gallbladder issue.
Perfect. Not that a gallbladder issue is perfect, but
it's a common thing. But
yes. All right. Up next is, what's a healthy probiotic strength?
I don't really look at the strength as much as I look at the strains. So when I look for a probiotic, I want to see many strains, like a multi-strain probiotic, and I want them to also be human strain. And they usually brag about it if they're human strain, not always, but they usually do. Human strain just sticks around in the gut longer. But the absolute number one key, more than anything else, is that I want you to take a probiotic that you feel better when you take it. And if that is a single strain one that doesn't like that has a really low number, it doesn't matter. The strength of your probiotic does not matter nearly as much as does this probiotic work for you, because we have 100 trillion bacteria in our gut, and even 100 billion isn't very much in comparison. And so really what I would recommend is keep trying probiotics until you feel that your gut is working better, that you're more regular, that your bloating and gas is lower. And when that happens, that's the right probiotic for you.
Nice. So what can you recommend for relief of daily chronic headaches?
Oh, headaches are hard. Headaches, like weight loss, are these symptoms that are the last to fix themselves. So they're usually like headaches are a symptom of many, many different things. And until we find what that is, they don't go away. So sometimes they're hormonal. Sometimes they are like, if you have tension headaches, then magnesium can help, including topical magnesium on your neck. Peppermint can help calm down headaches, especially tension headaches as well. Hormonal headaches can be helped with some hormonal support. This is a really good place to go to a naturopath and get a full evaluation, and they can do some diagnostics to figure out what it is that's causing your headaches. Because without knowing what that core problem is, they're just going to keep coming back. They're a symptom your body is trying to tell you something, and they can be a really hard one to figure out.
Got you. I think this is tying back to your last comment. What if you don't have a gallbladder?
Yeah. So if you don't have a gallbladder, and this is really common with women, a lot of women have had their gallbladders removed. This means a couple things that are all fixable, but you have to be aware of them. You don't absorb essential fats very well, like your omega-3s, and you don't absorb fat-soluble vitamins very well. What bile does, that your gallbladder secretes, is that it emulsifies fat. It makes them, like, when you make a salad dressing and you shake the oil and the vinegar together, that's emulsifying. That's what your bile does. So anytime you can emulsify your fat, you will digest it better. So say you put your fish oil in a smoothie and your vitamin D in a smoothie and it blends all together, you're going to absorb that fat a lot better. But what a really key tool is bile salts, and you can get those at Nature's Fair. There's two brands. One is called Digest Aid by Trophic, and the other is by Now, and it's called Super Enzymes. And they both have bile salts, and you need to use those whenever you eat any meal that has fat in it, and that will replace the bile that you're missing. For your omega-3s, I would recommend taking an emulsified fish oil because you're just going to struggle absorbing it otherwise. And Botanica has a really great one, and I think Barlean's has one too. And that will just mean you're going to digest it no matter what's going on with your gallbladder. It's not something you're usually told when you lose your gallbladder, but you frequently get a lot of digestive symptoms after you lose them, after you have that removed. So get some bile salts and know that anytime you can emulsify a fat, you're going to absorb it better.
Gotcha. Next up is Carol says her magnesium just says absorbable magnesium 400 milligrams oxide by Nature's Bounty. Is this any good?
That's a laxative.
All right.
I don't know why it's saying absorbable, because oxide doesn't absorb. I'm sorry.
And what type of salt do you prefer? Any recommendations? Is it sea salt? Is it Himalayan salt?
I buy Himalayan only because it's drier, so it runs easier. They're all really good. It doesn't matter. Just get a sea salt. anything at Nature's Fair is fine. Use what you prefer. They each have their own benefits. Like Himalayan has a bit of more iron in it. That's what makes it pink. And then other ones have different minerals, like the gray salts have, I'm not sure what it is that makes them gray. And so just use what you like. It really doesn't matter. Just don't use the refined table salt. That's like using white sugar. It's not the same as salt.
All right. Do you have any tips on night sweats?
Yeah. So night sweats are that your hormones are shifting. Seeing a naturopath is very helpful for your hormones. So that's a good place to go. But in the meantime, Nature's Fair carries a supplement called Menopause by A. Vogel, and it's sage. That's all it is. It's really concentrated sage, and sage helps with sweating. Helps with men sweating too, but they're not going to take something called menopause. And so sage just cools you off. And so for about 50% of people, I found that works really, really well for night sweats. If that doesn't work, then I would there are other products, but then you're just kind of like trying whatever you can find. That's when going to a naturopath and having them look at your hormones and see what's out. So usually your estrogen is in the midst of falling, and black cohosh can help with that. But getting some naturopathic support can be helpful.
Great. Thank you. And your thoughts on drinking apple cider every day?
Apple cider vinegar, I'm assuming.
Yes, apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, apple cider vinegar is kind of seen as this like golden everything. It's perfect for everybody. It's fine. It's not magic though. Like there's research on it helping with weight loss. Yeah. They lost like a pound over a month and a half. It was not really like it's fine, but it's helpful for the digestive system. It's a fermented food, so it's good for your gut bacteria. It's helpful, but A, if you hate it, or B, if it doesn't feel good, stop doing it. It's not magic. But if it feels good for you, like I take it with heavy meals because it helps with digestion so well. So if it feels good, keep doing it. Your body likes it. It does have some really great properties, but it's just not this like, there's so many things that are in style right now and they're just like seen as perfect. It's not perfect. It's just fine. It's a good thing.
And it's so delicious too, right?
Yeah. My digestion likes it more than my taste buds like it.
Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on detoxing and juicing?
Yeah. So, so I see the question that it is the season of detoxing. It's actually the season where detoxing is popular, but it's actually not the season of detoxing. That's the spring and the fall. Your body doesn't want to go through a heavy detox yet. It's winter. It's hibernating. But juicing, like if you're feeling, I had a client recently email me and I'm just like, I can feel like juicing would be good for you. If you're tired, if your body has just been drained, juicing can give your body a lot of energy really, really easily. And so if you feel like that would be interesting, try it out. But again, it's out of season. It's not the season for that per se. And so what I'd say is detoxing can be helpful, but maybe wait until the spring. But go with what feels good. And if you really want to do something detoxy, either add some juicing or something really gentle like fluorescence would be a very gentle winter detox.
Yeah, I was surprised actually. I was talking to one of our vitamin experts the other day at Nature's Fair, and she's the one that told me that no, this is not the season for detoxing. You're supposed to go with the seasons, and winter's not, which is wild because that's what happens right now, right? Everyone, it's popular to do that, but
I know, and I don't know which came first. Like, did we ask for detoxes in January, or were we sold detoxes in January and we've gotten into the habit? Like, which was it marketing that told us to do this, or was it us saying I ate too much over Christmas, give me a detox? Because it's the spring, and you don't you go into a store in the spring or look in a magazine, it doesn't talk detoxing then. It always does in January.
Yeah, definitely. It's clever marketing, that's for sure. But I think you're right with the Christmas. Everyone eats so much over Christmas, and by January we feel gross and we're ready to get it out of our system.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to ask a few more. We've got lots still coming in, but let's go with this one here. I don't have a problem falling asleep, but if I take melatonin, will it keep me from waking up in the middle of the night?
Sometimes, for some people, it's a good place to start. Melatonin for some people can just like help you sleep deeper. There's no harm in taking it. For others, it can either not work, not do anything either, or keep you up or give you nightmares. So don't do it if it causes those problems. But melatonin is the easiest place to start. If though melatonin is not working for you, or you feel groggy in the morning, try less maybe, or use something like kava kava or passion flower can also like calm your nerves and help you sleep. If you wake up really anxious, then GABA can help with that too. So there's a bunch of different options. Start with melatonin though, and see if that can keep you asleep all night.
Great tips. I love that. What's your thoughts on collagen?
Yeah, it's popular. It's a big happening. It's huge right now. And for sometimes for good reason. Bovine collagen, type 3 collagen is a gut healer. So I've seen that actually be really, really good for people with digestive issues. It is collagen in our skin that breaks down, that causes aging. But the protein we take as collagen, at least as we understand it right now, has to get fully broken down to all of its amino acids, go to the liver. And does it turn back into collagen? We don't know that yet. But there are companies who've been studying their collagen and finding it is helping with the skin and bringing more hydration to the skin. So while I'm skeptical, it's not harmful and people are really liking it. Another option, if you're looking for bringing in like that anti-aging side, is what we've been using a lot longer, is silica. And silica is a very important mineral. It's also really important for your bones. So it helps strengthen your bones, but it triggers the collagen production in your skin. And so it tells your body to make collagen. So that's what's a bit more studied. But yeah, I don't see any harm in collagen, and I use it regularly for people who also want some gut healing. But I'm just not sold entirely on the concept yet until we know that peptide stays as collagen, and we just don't know that yet.
All right. Any recommendations for omegas when you can't have fish?
Yeah. If you're either a vegetarian or you're allergic to fish, the vegetarian forms of omegas like flax oil or udo's oil is a really nice blend. Research has found that your body actually converts it faster than somebody who has fish in their life. So your body knows it needs to convert the ALA, which is alpha lipoic acid, into the EPA and DHA. You also take a larger amount. So like the serving for udo's oil is 1 or 2 tablespoons instead of like half a teaspoon. And it takes that larger amount to get the conversion, but they're all fine and they work really well. And so and your body will get those omega-3s out of them, even though the fish oil sellers will tell you otherwise. I've seen the research. Your body does convert.
And Gabrielle has some questions about supplements. I think that she should probably book a consultation with you because it's a little personal, but long story short, she wants to know if there's ever too much, if you're ever taking too much of a supplement, can that cause some issues with your body? And how do you know when you don't need that supplement anymore?
Yeah, you can over supplement, and there can be a moment where that supplement that was good for you no longer is. When I first came into the industry, I was working for a supplement company, and I was really unwell. And so I started taking this high dose, mega dose powdered multivitamin, and it was amazing. And it made huge changes. Like I felt so much better. And then when I was in school for nutrition, and by this point, my diet was a lot better, and I'm still taking it religiously, but my skin started breaking out. And it was right then I was in a class where I was reading a book about over supplementation, and one of the side effects is your skin breaks out. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if it's the multi. I stopped the multi, my skin stopped breaking out. And so you can absolutely over supplement because it is single nutrients. It's not what your body wants, but if you have a deficiency, it can be a solution to fix it. So it's not the long-term solution, it's that middle ground. So I found that, that you don't need it anymore, either because like I've picked up supplements in my cupboard and just kind of felt nauseous. And so I put them back. Or it just doesn't feel good, or makes like your stomach doesn't feel good when you take it. Notice your body will tell you, or if you just kind of have that gut feeling, it's okay, put it away. But absolutely what Melissa said, book yourself in, let's talk. And I can go through your supplements with you. And that way you can see, we can look to see what you need.
All right, let's do 2 more questions, and then you've got Lisa's email on the presentation right now. She is open to any questions you have at any point. She's a wealth of knowledge, so send her an email anytime. 2 more questions. Let's go with, can you get your hormones tested?
Yeah, so your doctor will do like a basic test, and it doesn't really tell you much. You can do more through a naturopath, but if you don't want to do that, there is a really in-depth test called the Dutch test, DUTCH, all in capitals, and it's a dry urine test. And you can order it. You can go online and you can buy it, and it gets shipped to you, and you do it and you ship it back. I've done it myself, and it really goes into the deep issues with your hormones. The trouble is interpreting it. There you can book yourself in with me and I can help you interpret it. I'm not an expert in it, but I can work my way around it. Or you can bring it to a functional medicine doctor or a naturopath and they can help interpret it for you. They also have videos to help you with that on your own. And that, I'd say, is one of the best ways to look at where your hormones are at, what's going on. They also test your adrenals, your DHEA, your androgens. Like it's a very in-depth test.
I wouldn't mind that myself.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, last question is, do you recommend anything to help a 12-year-old get to sleep that isn't melatonin?
That's a really good question. I would start with something really gentle. There's at Nature's Fair, you can get a fermented ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is, we tend to think of it for stress and hormones, but it's actually also a sleep aid. And because it's a fermented ashwagandha, I forget what the name, I think they changed it back to just calling it fermented ashwagandha. The staff will know. That would be gentle enough for a 12-year-old. And so they can take it through the day if they're dealing with a lot of stress, and also before bed. Teas are another good one. So like the sleepy time teas, Nature's Fair will have like a whole bunch of like herbal sleep teas. Teas are also are good for kids because they're so much more gentle. Other than that, I'd be very cautious without a naturopath's help to go to the actual supplements because they might be too strong. We want to do more food-based for a 12-year-old.
Perfect. All right, we're going to end it there. We still have a few more questions, but guys, feel free to book in a free consultation with Lisa. She is incredible. She's amazing. I have to book my appointment actually this week as well. But thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. That was incredible. Thank you all for all your questions and for tuning in.
Thanks so much for you all coming, and all of you stayed right to the end. I really appreciate your time today. And thank you for coming to celebrate my book in the best way that we can. So I really appreciate everybody. This will be a very memorable night.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.